You know, when you first sort of think about doing something like this, trying to get out of like the Western dating world and look into something that's going to be a more meaningful relationship in a traditional place such as Ukraine or any other countries that are like that, when you start doing your research online, you see how easy it is. You see all of these testimonials about these guys that have actually just found their future wife to be. And they're talking about it, saying, I found the one, I met her on Tuesday, and next week I'm going to give her like some sort of engagement type ring to say that we're going to get married or something like that. And you look at it and you think, my God, it's so easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. But as the old saying goes, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And a lot of people are doing it. But that saying should actually be, if it was so easy, everyone would be married. In this video today, I'm going to give you my thoughts on why most of these relationships that you see end in about 2 to 3 months. So hopefully you guys who have been following me know me somewhat by now, and you know that everything that I'm telling you is not to discourage people from going. I don't say this stuff to scare you. I say this stuff because I've learned it myself, or I've been told about it by people who know about this stuff, and I'm passing that information on to you guys. That way you can be successful when you decide to go and do something like this. But there's one thing that you guys need to know, and if you're just looking into this, you would think that this is, it's very easy to go and do this, that you can just go to one of these companies and then the chances of being successful are very, very high. But here's the thing. The amount of relationships, if you want to even call them relationships, but a relationship of some sort is started, they end within 2 to 3 months. Relationships are hard. Even in our own country, they're difficult to get started and then maintain, and then for the long term as well. And when it comes to a relationship in, say, in another country, another culture, a country on the other side of the world, it has its own hurdles as well. Yes, both parties are motivated. The man has gone to an agency, he's spent money. The woman has gone to the agency as well, whether or not she spent money or however she got to this agency, if she is legit. So they are motivated to get married. That is the end goal, is to get together and get married. And for the couples that actually are successful, that motivation is key into this, to what their success has been. But in the couples that break up or don't make it past month 2 or 3, that is the reason why that happened. Out of 100 couples that actually meet and start this relationship, maybe only 10 of them make it through and get married, and then it goes into a long term. It is not every one of these couples. We watch these videos online and it builds up this expectation that you want to be one of these successful guys. And you see them at the end of these tours talking about it. I found the one. I met her on Tuesday and I'm now in a relationship with her, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to move to a country. Let's just stop for a second. If you went on a date or 2 dates or 3 dates in your own country, and then you started talking to your friends about how, she's amazing. I knew as soon as I saw her, I'm thinking about marrying her. They would think that you are fucking crazy. They would just think that you're nuts. They'd just say, what are you talking about? Why is this any different? Of course the two are motivated, but motivation alone is not going to make you a successful couple. There are so many reasons why you are going to break up. And in the short time that you are there, the very short time you're there, 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, you're not going to learn enough about this person to know that this person is compatible with you. You have to have the same or very, very similar goals in life, or someone has to compromise. Sometimes you can't find this out in 1 to 2, 3 weeks. These are going to be contradicting to each other. There's so many variables of things that can go wrong. It's nobody's fault. It's just two people that can't be together. Think about values. You have to have values that are in line or that don't contradict each other. I know one couple where she would always text him in the morning, and he would sometimes take an hour or 2 to text back. She would get upset with that. He thought it was absolutely stupid. It's like, who cares? But if you think about it, their values are different. She values communication first thing in the morning. He doesn't value communication first thing in the morning. Just something as small as that, having 2 different values, caused huge problems for them. And they're not together anymore, but whether that was the reason or whether there was other reasons, we're never really going to know. But the thing that I want you guys to understand is that when you go over there, it's not a fly in, win situation, fly out again. It can be, and if it is, that's perfect. That's exactly what you wanted. But a lot of these guys that go over there, and I can talk about it because I've done it, so I'm not pointing the finger. I mean, I am, but I'm also pointing one back at me as well, is that you want it so bad. You are highly motivated. You've spent money and you want this in your life because you feel as though it's something that you want or that you need or that you deserve or whatever it is, and you start to see things that aren't really there. If you go to one of these agencies and you're not interested or in any of these women that are there, you'll start to look for things. You'll start to like hallucinate and you'll think, no, I found it. I found the one for me. I've done it. I've been there. I know a guy that actually did an interview with one of these companies afterwards, and he said the same stuff. And I knew he was talking absolute rubbish. And I called him afterwards. I said, what are you talking about? He says, oh yeah, I just sort of said it, you know, because everyone else kind of says it. What? But there can be so many different reasons, right? Like we have to understand that the chances of actually the relationship lasting past that 2 to 3 months is actually quite low. I'll tell you a quick story. There's actually a video out on one of these YouTube channels from one of these agencies, and it's got a couple on there. And when you watch the video, like if you actually like really watch it, the woman, I'm going to say she's like in love with this guy. And this is a very average looking guy. There's nothing special about him. She's very attractive for her age, and she was professional, like a professional person. She wasn't like a, you know, like a manicure master or unemployed. And they looked like that they had met each other. It looked perfect. And if you were watching that, you would go, that's me. I want that. I want it. And I believe the video was taken. I think he come back over the second time, but I'm not 100% certain about that. But this woman went over to United States and she flew back into Ukraine. But one of my friends actually knows the woman, like not good friends, but acquaintances. And she saw this woman at the airport. She was flying back from United States after spending some time with him. And she told a story that was so different from what was on that video. The story was that this guy was not the same person he was in Ukraine. He was in front of his friends and he was like saying this kind of like dirty sexual stuff in front of her and or about her in front of her and demeaning her in front of his friends. When she talked to him about this, he was like, well, that's just the way that it is. Whether or not there's more to that story or not, but I mean, for someone to tell that story, there can't be a hell of a lot more to it, I suppose, unless it was a misunderstanding. But you can see how this relationship seems so perfect, yet they went away and they just weren't compatible. In this case, it was the guy. We always seem to think it's the woman, but of course it can be the guy as well. But as you can see, there are so many variables that can go wrong. It could be anybody's fault. But to think after 1 week or 2 weeks that you've spent time with someone, a few hours each day or whatever it is, that you're going to have this long-term relationship out of this, it's just not realistic, okay? When you use one of these companies, you're invested like mentally, emotionally, not to mention financially. You want to be one of these guys on the video at the end. You know, you want to put your hand up. Oh, I found my wife. I found her yesterday, and you know, we're catching up again tomorrow, and then hopefully we're going to start planning a visa or whatever. It takes time. And I just, the only reason that I'm telling you guys this is because when it doesn't work out, if it doesn't work out, and I hope that it does work out, when or if it doesn't work out, I don't want you guys to think that you have failed because everybody else looks like they succeeded. I'm telling you right now that they probably didn't succeed either. Some of them would have done, but a lot of them didn't. But what you need to know is it's just part of the journey, okay? It's just part of it. The only time that you fail is when you decide to stop doing it, or you know, you've quit. You think, oh, that's it, it's done. Well, if you didn't get to your goal, you failed. If you keep going, you will eventually be successful because each time you do it, you learn a little bit more and a little bit more. The reason I made this video is because it was a topic in Ukraine Fusion earlier on today. If you haven't visited Ukraine Fusion, you should do it. There's a link in the description below. And we were discussing why most of these relationships end after 2 to 3 months. You can put it down to 1,000 different things. But really what it comes down to is that it was pressure to get together when you really didn't know each other. Those are my thoughts anyway, just from what I see out there. But I just say this stuff because I want you guys to be successful. If you enjoy the video, I'll see you guys next time.